In this video, you'll see how to set the visibility for a layer within a group layer. So open up the group layer layerVisibility.pyscript from the group layers folder. Let's take a look at the trail that we need to follow to be able to dig into our group layer and grab a layer within that group layer and then access the visibility where we can turn it on or off. We'll first access the map object content property, which we know returns a map content object. From that map content object, we're going to use the layers property, which returns a list of objects for feature layers and group layers. We're going to grab the group layer object. We'll then use that group layer object and the layer visibility method, which is going to return a layer visibility object. We can then use that layer visibility object to access the visibility property and set it to true or false. Let's head over to documentation for this layer visibility method for the group layer. Here we have the layer visibility method for our group layer. It takes one parameter, and that is the index of the layer in the group layer that we want to create a layer visibility object for. So the layer visibility method here gets an instance of the layer visibility class for the layer specified. Let's head over to this layer visibility class. Here we can see the layer visibility class has two properties, legend visibility and visibility, and it is this visibility property that we are interested in, where we can get and set the visibility of the layer. We're going to set it to true and false to see that we can turn on and off the visibility of a layer within a group layer in our web map. If we go from here to ArcGIS Online, here we have the current state of our web map. You can see in our layers list we have our NPWS designated boundaries group layer, and we are going to access the NHA layer that sits at index 0 here in the group layer and manipulate the visibility. We're first going to turn off visibility and then we will turn it back on. So let's head back over to PyScripter and check out the workflow. We'll first access ArcGIS Online. We'll then use the content manager get method and supply in our web map item ID, which I'll paste in now for my notepad. The get method returns an item object that will assign to a variable called web map item. We'll then use that item object to create our map object, which will assign to a variable called WebMap. We use our map object and access the content property, which is a map content object, which has a property called layers that returns a list of objects for feature layers and group layer objects. We're going to access our group layer that sits at index 1. We'll assign our group layer object to a variable called GL for group layer. We now want to use our group layer object and the layer visibility method. If I could spell that right, visibility. And we saw that this layer visibility method takes one parameter called index, and we're going to set that to be the bottommost layer in our group layer, which was our NHA. The layer visibility method returns a layer visibility object, and from that layer visibility object we can access the visibility property, and we're going to set that to equal false because that layer is already visible in the map. We want to show how we can make it turned off, non-visible. So let's run this script. Our script is complete, but I want you to note that I did not call the map object update method to commit that change. I just want to show you that it is important that when we are calling functions and manipulating properties, when we go through the map object itself, that we have to use that update method to commit the change. So I'm going to go over to ArcGIS Online right now. And we can see that our NPWS NHA layer is visible here. And I'll refresh this map. And we can see that it still is visible. We wanted to turn off visibility. I'm going to go back over to PyScripter. I'm going to create a variable called status, and I'm going to set that to equal the map object update method, and we will print status to screen. I know throughout this course I have been saying that we need to call the update method when we manipulate the web map through a map object property and method, but I just want to drive that home in this instance. So let's rerun the script. Our script is complete. Let's head back over to ArcGIS Online. I'm going to refresh the map. Now when we expand our designated boundaries, we can see that our NHA is not visible. We'll go back over to PyScripter once more. Set the visibility back to true and rerun. Our script is complete. We'll head back over to ArcGIS Online. Here we can see that our NHA layer is not visible, but we'll refresh the map and we can see it is visible once more. In this video, we saw how we could access an individual layer within a group layer and turn on and off layer visibility for that layer.